Thank you for coming today. First, you will hear from Chief Roy Minter. You will see that he is joined here today by Mayor Eddie DeLoach, Mayor Pro Tem Carol Bell, City Manager Rob Hernandez, District Attorney Meg Heap, Cheryl Branch, the Executive Director of Safe Shelter, as well as other members of the Savannah Police Department executive staff. As mentioned, you will first hear from Chief Roy Minter.
Thank you, Bianca, and good morning.
Good morning.
I'm sure most of you know family violence calls are some of the most dangerous calls that our officers respond to, some of the most stressful and traumatic situations for families also. Over the past several years, the Savannah Police Department has had a decentralized approach to investigating these types of incidents. While this approach has been very effective, we believe a more centralized investigative process is a better way to investigate these types of incidents. So this morning, we're announcing the formation of a centralized new family violence unit. This unit will consist of a supervisor and detectives, and I'll have Captain David Gay talk more specifically about the primary duties and responsibilities and the focus of this unit. Captain Gay?
Thank you, Chief. A couple points. First and foremost, we want to recognize that this is a partnership. Behind me, you'll see that you've got city leadership, we've got Safe Shelter, and we've got representation from the District Attorney's Office. And each one of us brings a unique perspective and a different skill set to this problem of family violence. So as we move forward, we're all going to be working together on that. Second is an existing framework. The traditional police role is that police investigate crimes, they make an arrest, and then the District Attorney's Office takes the case. There's a better model for family violence cases, and that is weekly staffing where Safe Shelter and the District Attorney's Office will meet with the police investigators, identify resources, investigative techniques, work together, collaborate, and move forward to make sure that each case receives the kind of attention that it needs. And then lastly is our goal. And our goal is a victim-focused program integrating best practices. So to achieve that goal, we anticipate visiting one or two other family violence units around the state that are seen as examples in an effort to identify those best practices and borrow them and bring them back to Savannah. Thank you. Questions?
They said that there was a supervisor and detectives. How many detectives? And how big is the unit itself?
So the actual unit itself will be 5 investigators at this point, along with the sergeant.
What will happen now that wasn't happening before? If someone calls the police and says, you know, somebody's beating on me, will the unit officers be dispatched instead of regular officers, or?
So it'll depend. So the best way I can describe this is one-stop shopping. So if any family violence incident or call can be directed to this office, so we've got consistency and continuity in terms of how these situations are being handled.
It sounds like you're talking also when you say you're going to have those weekly staff meetings, there'll be the follow-up, because just in my experience in reporting, once that crime happens and that the accused is bonded out, there's still that period of danger. Will those officers and detectives be available for that? Can you talk about that?
So part of this unit will be establishing protocols for for situations such as that. So if we have an offender that we're concerned that he's going to bond out and be a future threat, get the District Attorney's Office involved. Is there measures that can be put in place to maybe keep them in jail a bit longer, raise their bond, and then also make sure that the victim is notified in the event that a bond is issued, and also try to do what we can to remove the victim from that situation, put them in safe shelter or take them out of harm's way.
It doesn't sound like the process changes. If you're in danger, you should call 911 first. You shouldn't try to reach out and say, "Give me the domestic violence."
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is this, we had spoken, I think, to someone at the department that there's going to be kind of like a checklist now that officers, when they respond to these calls, kind of to double check that they're taking care of all of the protocols in place for this victim or survivor. Is that this program, or is that something different?
So one of the things we're going to be doing is revisiting our procedures and policies, and make sure that when the responding officers arrive on scene that they're doing adequate and proper documentation. That helps with the District Attorney's Office in determination, do we have a case, and if so, what's the appropriate charges. Under Georgia law, some misdemeanor cases, based upon the criminal history of the defendant, might actually be raised to a felony as well, and if it's properly documented, during that initial call, that will help with that process as well. So we're going to be taking a look at our policies, updating them to do what we can to make sure that information is included in the preliminary report and the initial investigative recap.
Was there any special training that went into the selection for the members of the unit?
Some of the existing members have some violent crime experience, which we anticipate being helpful. But we've already been in contact with Safe Shelter and the District Attorney's Office about additional training.
And you mentioned that you were going to visit other units. How many of those?
We're still working on that. How many other units we're going to visit?
Well, how many units are in the state, if you knew that number?
I do not know.
Is this new unit going to take some of the responsibilities and some of the tasks away from the other units, or are they all going to be collaborating until this unit is a little bit more concrete and up and running?
I think that's a great question. So a preliminary analysis of our data shows that roughly 45% of our aggravated assaults are family violence related. So the bulk of the investigators that have been moved over to this unit have been taken from an existing unit that already investigates felonious assaults. All we're doing is we're putting them in a separate office to allow them to kind of specialize.
I actually have a question for Ms. Keep, if I could ask.
Sure.
Can you talk about how having this unit helps with the DV caseload in Chatham County?
Yes. So when you have a specialized unit, we have done that in our office already. I have prosecutors handling misdemeanors and felonies. And then the major crimes division, where you have your homicides, domestic violence homicide, and they're specialized. And when our unit works with the unit from the police department, we do training and the staffing of the cases, which is very, very important. You know, are we charging him with the right crimes? I get police reports every morning on my phone, and then I direct them to my prosecutors. We received a federal grant several years ago for domestic violence, and I have a prosecutor in my office. When we see that someone was arrested, there was a police report, our victim advocate will make outreach within the 24 hours to make, the police are investigating their case, and then we want to make outreach with the victim to make sure that they're okay, that they have the resources that they need, and additionally, you know, our hope is there'll be less recantation. So it's this constant working together. We train on domestic violence, elder abuse, crimes against children, crimes against women, and we train law enforcement. And that collaboration is what makes our cases stronger and then hopefully reduces the domestic violence.
What, if anything, have you heard from other DAs where this unit is in place and working in terms of helping successfully prosecute these family violence?
Well, one of the things we are looking to create as a family justice center. San Diego is the first family justice center that was, I can't tell you the day, but they created one and it reduced the domestic violence homicides, also reduced the recantation and the influencing. And I would love to look at them, take their ideas and bring it here to Savannah. When Captain Gay said a one-stop shop, so when you have a victim and their family, and the other thing I think we always forget is, you know, when this woman or this man is being abused, many times you have kids and they're seeing it. And is anybody addressing the trauma that they've, you know, seen? So it's a one-stop shop where you bring the victim here and law enforcement comes, a safe shelter comes, the DA's office, and we assess, they're investigating their case, we're looking for stronger evidence, and then safe shelter, other resources are available for the family, for the, you know, the mother. Does she need some help? Does she need a place to stay? Does she need help getting a job? Do the kids need counseling? Can we do forensic interviews of these children? So the hope is by doing this, the collaboration with all the agencies and with the DAs, the District Attorney's Office and law enforcement, we're going to reduce domestic violence.
It sounds,
everyone, I think that's.
I just had one more question for Ms. Branch, if that's possible. Ms. Branch, just real quickly, can you talk about what it feels like to see this kind of focus on domestic violence crimes in Chatham County?
I couldn't be more excited because this is actually what I was hired for in 1996. The city and Safe Shelter had gotten a grant from the Justice Department, and the grant was to start an outreach program for the shelter for those victims that don't require shelter and to establish a domestic violence unit within the police department. Devon Adams here, it was one of the first DV investigators, and it was a very successful project. It really was, and I'm thrilled to see this coming up again.